Welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to show you the Zed Text Editor. So I just became aware of Zed very recently, discovered it last week actually, and so far it has really impressed me, right? I was a VSCode user before. I'm kind of still a VSCode user, why I'm going to tell you in this video. But let's take a look at this new text editor called Zed by Zed Industries. It's an open source project. You can see the source on GitHub here, right? They have a quite high number of releases currently. It's still in a quite early stage, right? So we definitely shouldn't expect the maturity of VS Code or other text editors yet. But there's something really, really cool about Zed that I really like, and that is that it is developed in the Rust programming language. And if you know anything about Rust, you know it's fast, which was for me always a downside comparing that to VS Code, because VS Code is developed on the in TypeScript, on the Electron platform. But this has come a long way as well. It's not as bad as it used to be in the early day of VS Code anymore. So as I said, you can see a bunch of people already contributing here, right? So this is a good, healthy, open source project. So what does it do differently, right? You might be asking, right? It says code at the speed of thought. And the idea here is, the main idea is that Zed is developed to use your GPU, right? So other text editors are doing that as well, actually, right? To make it faster, to make it more responsive. They are claiming that they are super fast, compared to other text editors. We got Sublime Text here, which I was a big fan of as well. Has a terminal in there, of course. That's also something that other text editors are doing. It has a Vim mode, which is not what all text editors are doing, but VS Code also has a Vim mode. The downside of the Vim code in VS Code is if you're quite proficient with Vim and you're typing very fast, right? You might feel a little bit of lag on VS Code, right? Because of the Electron thing. Not so here in Zed. I'm not a Vim user myself, right? But I got colleagues that are, they are quite amazed by the Vim mode in here. Also something that they're doing that we haven't seen before, I haven't seen it in that way, natively built into an editor before, is that you have a chat feature for people inside your company, inside your group, GitHub organizations and so on, that you can invite, collab with them, right? And then actually do kind of like a screen session from within Zed, right? Where you can collaborate on working with that. I haven't tried it out yet, right? Trying to find a colleague of mine, that needs some help down the road where we can do some collaborating here. Works, but looks very good, right? You can see another image here, where multiple people are logged into the same file and they can collaborate on a little bit like you would when you're collaborating on a Google Doc, for example, right? In case you've seen that before. So it's very good. Obviously, it's beautifully designed, and as it says, built like a video game, because they're going GPUI, which is something that they first explored on the Apple Mac with the new M processors. I'm currently also using an Apple Mac with an M1 processor inside of it, right? So, and that immediately leads us to the current downsides of Zed. Only available on Mac and Linux so far. So the Linux release was quite recently, right? They had some great feedback about the Linux version here, right? But they're still fixing quite a lot of bugs there. But if you're using Linux, then definitely give it a go. Enough, story mode about Zed. Let's try it out. Let's do some things with Zed. Let me show you Zed in action. All right, what I've prepared here is access to a couple of repos that we use here at Infralovers to, the code that we write. And just want to show you how this looks like in Zed. Just like VS Code, you get a command line command with Zed that you can use to open up any project or single file. Zed, aptly named, I would say. and it opens up. You might have noticed how fast this has opened up, right? So VS Code used to be very small in its early days. It had gotten way faster in the last 1 or 2 years, right? But this definitely feels just that tiny bit faster, right? It really feels very smooth. Also, something that you might not be able to see here, I'm using a MacBook here, so I have a very high refresh rate on that monitor. And the screen capturing software might not be able to capture that in terms of frames, right? But the scrolling is smooth. Really, it's, it just feels incredible. So far, this is definitely a difference that I feel and see immediately, when switching over from VS Code. We got some Go code here from a command line tool. Actually, it's not a command line tool, from a little helper tool that we use here to download content in a CI pipeline into our company website. And just wanted to open it up so you can see what the code highlighting works. And yeah, this is a Go file. File Explorer on the left, not something that you would be surprised with. I guess this is something that we expecting. Of course, we have fuzzy search, all the things that you're expecting here. Down here on the bottom left, we can open up a color panel. We are always in contact with Zed itself, so I can actually ask, for support and for give feedback and so on directly here through the editor, add contacts that I know from somewhere else. You might have noticed that there is on the top right corner a super small image of myself. The reason for that is that I'm logged in to Zed with my GitHub account. This enables me to find other people that are using GitHub. It enables me to use GitHub Copilot. Zed has a native implementation of GitHub Copilot. You just need to log in and then you can use it, so no extra plugins needed. Obviously, terminal window can be turned on and off. I'm not a big user of the internal terminals. With text editors, I've just put mine on a hotkey, usually F1, so I can, show and hide it at any point in time. There's also a chat panel, where everybody who's currently collaborating on that project can chat with each other. And there is also an assistant panel, which I find very interesting indeed. This opens up communication with one of many chat AI tools, right? You might not be using those, right? But I can definitely tell you that it has become a concern for a lot of our customers to have access to such tools. And these are also starting to be integrated in very large companies, right? And I have the choice here, Claude is here, Olamar is here, we got OpenAI. I'm currently logged in with my OpenAI API key that's set to GPT 4.0 currently, right? And then I can just start typing and talking to, in this case, ChatGPT directly. And here is a funny thing, as I have Copilot also enabled, and this is just a normal text editor window, which I'm using to talk to ChatGPT, it's going to try to help me out to complete the prompt. So let me just write something here. So let's say, how do I write a for loop in the Go programming language? How do I write, all right, so far, a good note? I don't know. I'm not that good at writing notes. But I'll try. Yeah, see, you can see it's already trying to autocomplete what I'm writing. So how do I write a for loop in Python? Now, it could infer that I have a Go file open here, that actually could guess that I'm probably talking about Go, right? But it doesn't. And then I can just send it off, and I get my answer directly here in that window in the same code highlighting that I'm using all the time. As you can see, I get the standard answer about how writing a for loop in Go. Can just copy that out here, use that. So I like this a lot, right? Having the integration directly here. And of course, I'm totally aware that we could have a plugin in VS Code to do that as well. but it's nice to see that this is in there natively and that it's working so well already. This already brings me to one of the downsides currently with Zed. So all you've seen so far is natively built into Zed. Some of the programming language highlights, code highlighting and so on, auto-completion can be installed via a plugin, which it usually does automatically. So if you, for example, don't have the Go programming language highlighting installed, it understands you've opened the Go file for the first time and then it's downloading that for the editor, right? But other than that, the world of Zed, when it comes to the extensions, is still very, very small, especially compared to VS Code, right? You will find the most important things that every developer needs. We got Docker file support, different tools, programming languages, ton of themes that you can find in here. But this is definitely, a limited list currently, right? It's definitely growing. People are starting to write open source extensions for Zed as well. You have to use the Rust programming language as well. For VS Code, you're using TypeScript, right? So that's the big difference here. But for any normal coding task that I have encountered so far, this was all brilliant. So I never had the feeling that something was missing. I think everything that they've built into this is already very great. Also, I forgot to show, but obviously we can split the screen, right? Also split it down. Very, very great to be able to do that. You can carry over your key maps from VS Code, Sublime Text or whatever, or just write your own, switch themes, all the things you would be expecting from a text editor like that. As with all those things, this is a matter of taste. I am a person that likes to look at new things when it comes to text editors, like every year or so, right? Going into NeoVim a little bit, going a little bit into Sublime Text, coming back to VS Code, going into Zed. So my honeymoon with Zed might not last forever, right? But currently, I really like it for all my hardcore coding needs. It might not be right for you, but I would definitely recommend that you try it out. Be aware of the downside so far. So there's not the biggest plugin ecosystem yet. You might be missing a specific plugin that you use with VS Code. Other than that, it's very performant. And this is how I would want to stop today's video. I'm just going to close so it's fair, VS Code and Zed, and go into this window here where I have a very large text file, which is currently, that's a little bit over a gigabyte in size, right? 1050 megabytes. This is bytes here, right? So a large text file that you might be encountering in your daily work life, when working with large log files, for example. And if I open that with VS Code, I hope it opens on the right screen. All right. I did a boo-boo here, right? So So let's do it again. Obviously, you don't want to open the whole directory here, right? It's just gonna confuse VS Code. So we just want to open a single file. Hey, I'm not cutting that out. That wouldn't be very authentic, I think. So let's keep it in. Let's open a text file with VS Code. That very large one. Well, and here it is, right? So it definitely took a couple of seconds, as you saw, right? Let's do it with Zed here as well. Bam, right? So this is what I mean with the difference in speed. So you can definitely realize that immediately, that stuff just opens way quicker. So for everybody who doesn't like that about VS Code, speed-wise, definitely check out Zed, you can, if I find the browser, here it is, you can definitely find all the information here, download it for your operating system, as long as it's not Windows, but they are working on it, and have fun with Zed. All right, so yeah, that was the Zed Text Editor. My name is Jürgen, and I think I didn't say that at the beginning of the video, but doesn't matter. And well, I see you in the next video, showing you another tool in the future. Have a nice rest of the day. See you soon.